Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Symbio with T3 Gaming, back with another Star Wars Destiny match for you. We played a Q4 kit tournament in Chico, California at Chico Magic. Thanks to them for hosting this. On the right there, I'm playing the Rieekan, General Rieekan, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, with Wookie Warrior from Empire at War, and then the Awakening's Ray for a total of 31 health. And I'm playing the Battlefield War-Torn Streets, which is basically discard a random card from opponent's hand. So as you can see, this is a mill deck. It's kind of a take on the Padme mill. On the left there, we have, of course, R2-P2, one of the most popular and tier 1 decks from the current meta, winning a lot of regional tournaments. It's such an awesome deck, and there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Poe's special, and then the handcrafted light bow special, and then C3PO being able to resolve any die as a special. So there's a lot of special chaining in that, and it also has a lot of healing powers, ability to get shields because of the blue and red. And then he's playing Docking Bay, which allows him to play the Honor Guard and potentially C3PO. I think those are the two main supports he plays, and he can play those for free. But it's not that fast of a deck. I think it's a really good deck. I wouldn't say it's broken. There's definitely a lot of damage you can do in that deck. But for being a starter deck, I think it's great that something like that can be played in the current meta. So it just, to me, tells you it's a fairly healthy meta. I think that there's a lot of still stuff that they can beat it. I think it's got certain matchups which aren't that great. Like 5 Dice Villain, I think, is one of the matchups that's probably not great for R2-P2. Anyway, on the right there, I'm playing this mill deck. It's a take on the Padme mill, but I felt like Padme always got taken out really early and tended to not be able to get the mill that I wanted out of her. So then I had problems getting hand mill. So I decided to switch it out for 2 characters that could give me the hand mill, and also Jedi Instructor, although can be very helpful. You kind of have to roll well with her, otherwise she's just a meat shield. I felt like Rey was giving me money and being able to do discards a little bit. And I was trying to use their melee sides to do mill using 3PO, and also I play some disarm and to be able to use those to remove weapons. So we'll see how it goes. It's a fun deck. I've done pretty well with it before this, just playing casually, and I didn't really want to bring some super meta deck to this tournament, since I brought Sabine Ezra last time and it did really well, but I just kind of wanted to switch it up and play something different that I hadn't played. So here we are, we're rolling some initiative, and we keep rolling the same thing about 4 or 5 times, which is really funny when you do that, because you just think, what is the likelihood of rolling the same number? I only have 3 dice, so I tend to not get initiative. And that's the other thing I play this. I switch those characters out because I really want initiative so I can get those 2 shields in the beginning. And there is a 2 and a 3 side on the Wookie Warrior and a 2 on Rey, which is better than the Jedi Instructor and Padme. I mean, Padme does have the 2 focus, but she really has those double specials, and so a lot of times you get 0. Showing off my hand there, I do get a disarm, a caution, and flank. And what I want to mulligan for is really a chance cube, a 3PO, and probably like a caution or something to shield up. He rolls out with a hit and run, rolling Poe out and not getting great, getting the double focus and a blank. And then Rey rolls out with a blank and a resource, so not great rolls. I didn't see if he has a weapon in his hand. You really want to get Poe's blaster. I don't know if he doesn't play the It Binds All Things version. I activate Rieekan, and because I have 2 shields on my 2 different characters, I get to have him discard 2 cards from his deck. He resolves the double focus and puts them both on 2 melee damage for Rey. And I don't think he plays the It Binds All Things version of that deck, which I think can be really good too. I go ahead and sound the alarm on the 2 melee, and he gets a blank and a 1, so that's definitely helped mitigate 3 damage. He's going to discard guard. And now Ricky Bayers on the left here, sorry I forgot to introduce him. He's a new player to our group. He's been playing Magic, and actually he used to play Destiny. Really, really nice guy. So some of the things he had just just started playing this deck, so there are a couple things he didn't know, like being able to chain the specials. And so he's just practicing this deck. And I've only played the R2P2 deck once, so I'm not like, that skilled at playing it either. So I basically flanked his double focus, so he couldn't focus, No, not his double focus, his special. And then he goes in and resolves the one after the reroll, the 2 damage melee against Rieekan. I got a 2 shield on Rieekan showing, and I definitely, I like that. That's a good die to have. But I also like to get the focus, which, is probably a better roll from him, because then I can focus to the discards. I don't have the 3PO, so that really hurts. Basically, I'm trying to mitigate damage, stay alive. If I can get a bunch of shields up, I will play All Quiet on the front, which I don't have right now, but that's usually a good call. I do play 1 Patience in this deck, which has been very helpful. I just roll out both my characters and get double blanks there. As you can see, his deck is even faster than mine. This is probably the slowest deck in Star Wars Destiny. I caution removing raised dice, giving Rieekan 3 shields. So if they go for Rieekan in this deck, I will then caution and shield up Rieekan the whole time, of course, to try to mitigate all the damage and keep him alive as long as possible. He plays Overconfidence on my 2 shield, and I roll a 1 resource and a blank, so I have to remove the blank. But, I think, just so you guys know, like, as you play against, if you see this deck, going for Rieekan seems like the right choice in some cases, but, like, against the Padme deck, I definitely think going for Padme is probably the right choice. But if he's able to keep those shields on the other characters, he can mill you really fast. So you kind of want to be able to pop off those shields on the other characters. If you don't, you're losing 2 cards a turn, so... Ricky plays the handcrafted light bow, my most feared weapon, because it will remove all shields and still do 2 damage. And then removing my shields, not only, of course, does it hurt because I don't want to take damage, but also because I want to use those shields for discard. But that's why I play the disarm. I get a blank on the Wookie. I was hoping for a 3 for 1 so that I could disarm his light bow. But that's the problem with relying on rolls. If I had a 3PO, I could resolve a die as a focus and be able to focus to the 3. There's just more I could do. He rolls out Poe, getting a special and 2 damage. So he's not rolling great, Ricky, on that side, but because of Poe's special basically being able to turn any die, it could be his or mine, it's very, very powerful, giving you more consistency. And I think that's what they're talking about with R2P2 is it's consistent in the sense that you can get what you need out of it if you're playing it properly, because you can turn your dice to what you need rather than relying on it. So he goes ahead and turns the light bow, and at this point, he didn't realize that he could chain those, and I didn't catch it until a little later. You'll see Zach, or one of our other players there, kind of reminded us you could chain those specials. So I electroshocked that, which normally he would have been able to pop shields off of Rieekan at that point. So 1 misplay there. But that's what you do when you're learning a deck. You're not always going to know everything you can do. So he's going to do the 2 damage and pop the 2 shields off of Rieekan there. So, you can see he's already done with his turn, and I still have stuff to do. I was able to discard the Shoto. Discard Air Superiority to re-roll. I'm still looking for that 3 damage for him so that I can disarm his light bow, but it's just not happening. And I don't have I'm trying to hit at least 1 focus off Rieekan, but he's just not rolling focus for me. But that's just part of Destiny. And when you're playing a mill deck, you can see actually in a lot of ways how powerful it is to remove cards and weapons from the opponent that they don't get to play. But also you can be unlucky in that you're discarding all this stuff that is useless for like Force Illusions and Sound the Alarms that really aren't going to help me because he's not going to use those against Mill. So I discard reroll again, still can't get a focus or a 3 damage, so I just gain the resource and reset, which is kind of tough. This deck, if I don't have the shields up on them, it's really slow in milling, because that means I have to hand mill, or I got to get a lot of shields to use all quad in the front. I did... And if I don't get the chance cubes, usually I'm not getting money that fast. Okay, so Ricky plays the Shoto, which is going to allow him with a double weapon to put a shield on Rey, ping somebody, and or remove a shield. I activate Rieekan immediately to try to get two cards discarded before he removes any shields. So he activates Rey, removes a shield with the Shoto, and does a damage to Rieekan, putting him at 3 damage. And he rolls out Rey with 2 weapons. He gets 4 damage with the Shoto melee, and then he gets a special on the Lipo. So, so the Lipo special, in case you don't know, says deal 3 damage or remove all shields and do 2 damage. So when you have 3 shields, it's basically like doing 5 damage. Pretty amazing weapon. And being able to chain those specials is so good. So it'll be my turn here. I have a Maz's Goggles, which I could roll out. I have a Crate Dragon Howl, which allows me to, looks like I'm probably going to use. I use the Crate Dragon Howl in the special. It basically says that he has a spot a blue character. He has to remove that die or discard 2 cards. So it's kind of like a protection / mill. Early game, most people will usually mill themselves. In this case, he's going to do... He played all in, and it allows him to do all that unmitigated. It's going to do 3, and then it's going to do another 4, which is 7 damage to Rieekan. So that'll put Rieekan at 10. One more, and he will be dead, and Poe hasn't even rolled out. So you can see how much damage R2-P2 can burst if you don't have a lot of mitigation. I was thinking about adding a dodge to the mill deck, which would probably be useful, and maybe a parry or something. I go ahead and play Entrenched, but this deck really doesn't have a lot of room to play around with cards. You got to play shields, otherwise the deck dies. You need to play something to help you make money. So now I got all the shields up, and if I could just get it all quiet on the front, I could mill them really fast. It's kind of like the hero buyout, if you can get enough shields up all at one time. And with Entrenched and Caution, you can. So he rolls out Poe, gets double resources. I put a Maz's Goggles on Rey to get the extra action. Roll out, get a resource and a melee. I actually tried out Close Quarters Assault on this deck first to try to get the melee mills, but in the end, I was only getting 1 or 2 mills, which wasn't worth it. Like, you could play a Friends in Low Places just to get an auto mill, so I ended up taking that out, putting 1 Friends in Low Places in. Activate Wookie, because he rolled trash out there. I roll another resource, it looks like, on the Wookie. Just can't seem to get that 3 damage side to get rid of the Lipo. So, sometimes... Oh, sorry, I didn't get a resource. I got a discard. So he gets a shield on Rey, discards his last riposte. So now he can't re-roll, which is good. Why discard? Again, another thing why discarding is so good is just keeping people from re-rolling. I've got an almost dead Rieekan, but crazy shields up. I have a fallback, so I play 1 fallback, and in my previous game with Ricky, it worked out really well because he had like 4 weapons on, and if you're playing somebody with a holocron and a bunch of weapons on, fallback mid-game can be absolutely devastating and allow you to survive. I don't know why. I actually should have discarded the fallback, but I discarded the disarm instead because I was like giving up on being able to disarm. It's not usually worth it to do a fallback for 4 resources if they only have 2 weapons, because they do get to keep one. So, you know, but mill can live longer if, you know, you're able to mitigate the damage. And, you know, by the mid to late game, if you can remove all their weapons, it's huge. So it's definitely a inconsistent card. If you get it early, it's really bad. So he's going to claim and put out the Honor Guard. There's not a whole lot I can do because I don't have my 3PO out, and all I have in my hand is a disarm. I should have just discarded to go for a hand reroll, but oh no, I have a fallback. I should have just discarded that. It's not useful at this point, and I'm learning to play that deck better. But it's a really fun deck to play. I would highly recommend it. Apparently, people say it's pretty annoying, so because it does have a lot of health, a lot of shields, and in this meta where shields are actually fairly relevant, it can last a pretty long time. He rolls out, doesn't get great, gets 2 melee, a +1 on the Shoto. He didn't remove my shield, so I get to discard 2. So you can see how fast. I mean, I got 6 discards just by activating Rieekan. He goes ahead and kills Rieekan for 2 damage out there, putting me at 11, which takes me Rieekan off the board. But he did his job, and now I have 2 characters with a bunch of shields and full health. So that's the good place I want to be in mid-game. Rieekan already discarded quite a few cards. So now I play All Quiet on the front, and he only has, he's going to count them right now. He only has 5 cards exactly, so I play All Quiet on the front, paying 1. It removes as many number of shields as I want to discard that many cards from the opponent's deck. So I just got rid of his entire deck.
He's been rolling terrible.
And I wanted to do that before I got rid of my shields. Even though I'm going to take damage, you really want to try to mill as fast as you can, and then use your cards to play defense and try to stay alive. Another idea was to play Ancient Lightsaber in this deck so I could get the healing off and maybe get another melee side for either Close Quarters Assault or Disarm. But so I just played Defensive Stance, and then he goes and plays the special, and then focus the special. I guess he forgot to chain that one again too. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I tried to play the Maz's Goggles for a second, then realized it was unique, thank goodness. So I am trying to slow down, and that does help, and having the tray does help, being able to roll dice so I don't like knock over people's dice. So he goes and resolves the special, removes my shields, and does 2 to Rey. One thing is that, I love all the other content creators in the TTS, we're the only one, like, at least consistently putting out real footage of, physical meat space Destiny, where you see the dice being rolled and the cards being played. And it is harder to kind of control the board state when you're not playing on TTS because things can get knocked around more. You don't have as much specific control over like reloading dice that kind of go up vertically. And then, of course, you just click a button on TTS to do damage and shield. So, human mistakes are more error-prone in the physical game. And unless you're videotaping, you're not going to notice them. You might think you played a perfect game, but unless it's videoed and somebody comes back to see it, you're not going to notice those things. So I go and roll out Wookie, get another resource off the Wookie. Wookie can't seem to roll anything that I need. He gains a resource off of Rey. I mean, in the mill deck, you definitely need resources because you do play. There's a hyperspace jump. And like I said, I do play fallback, which is expensive. At this point, I'm looking for the hyperspace jump, and I'm looking for a 3PO. So I get and All Quiet on the front. I get a chance cube finally, which is terrible late game. In this game, I actually didn't need it. I gained a lot of money because I was, rolling very well. He's going to roll out Rey first with and deal 1 due to the ability. And no shields to remove, so Shoto doesn't help because he already has maxed out shields. So I do also play one lone operative. Again, it's one of those cards where if you get it later game, mid game, it's really good. But playing two was really tough because oftentimes I didn't want to pay to do that. He rolls out Poe, gets the special, and so basically anytime Poe rolls a special, that's 3 damage and removing all your shields if you have your light bow out. You can also, some people, if they play Mind Probe in this deck, you can chain that Mind Probe special too. So I roll out Ray, getting a special on the Maz Goggles, which allows me to remove an event from his hand. But if you guys were noticing earlier when I looked at his hand, he doesn't have any more events. So he just remembered that he could get a shield off of Poe. He thought it was the other character, but you just get a shield from Poe's special. And I'm resolving Maz's special. I get to look at his hand, and oh, that's right. So I'm using the Maz's special now, looking at his hand. He only has one event, the Field Medic, and I get rid of that. He only has 3 cards left, I think. Is it 3? No, he's got 4 cards left. He resolves 2 damage against Ray, killing Ray. So now I'm left with a lone Wookiee warrior. He was asking if you can resolve another side of a modified with C-3PO, and you cannot because you need to be able to resolve the die, and it can only be 1 die. So you can't resolve a modifier with the die you're resolving as a different symbol. So I go ahead and play Lone Operative, which is a perfect time to play this card. He's got 4 cards in his hand, but this will allow me to potentially heal. But he can do so much damage that he could totally kill me in 1 turn. Maybe not this turn. I go and roll out, get the special on Lone Operative. It basically says heal 2 damage, but if I'm the only character left, I get to heal 3 damage. And I get a resource again off the Wookiee. That Wookiee just wants to make hella money right now. He goes ahead and focuses to the +2, looks like, on the Shoto. I roll out my 3PO, get a 1 resource. Oh, never mind. He's doing 3 damage, so I guess he focused to the 2 melee. I go ahead and heal the 3 using the special. He goes and pays 2 to play the Ancient Lightsaber. Such a great weapon. Allows him to basically stay in the game so that at any point in time where he has no more cards in his hand, he can heal 2, which he's not taking any damage. And then I roll a 3 melee finally, and then he honor guards it. So I was really bummed because I could have gotten all of those out of his hand by resolving that 3 melee as a 3 discard using C-3PO's ability, which is something I do a lot. Most people don't see it coming as much, but it is prone to the honor guard and prone to anything that removes damage sides. So I go ahead and claim. And it's docking bay, so allows me to put a support out. And I didn't notice, but I did have an air superiority in there. So that as a support. Thanks to Zach for kind of like giving me the heads up on that. But it gives me 3 shields and allows, so with the docking bay, it can be very helpful. I actually played 2 of those in the deck, and I think I'm going to take 1 out because it's a little too slow. I'm trying to find out if there's some way of getting both of my characters' shields with 1 card, but I don't think there is. There isn't something that gives you shields distributed as you wish. So, stupidly, I play Friends in Low Places. I totally spaced on the fact that he had no events when I looked at his hand last time, but just didn't think about it. So he rolls out. Let's see, he gets 2 melee, 1 melee on the Shoto, and he forgets to ping a damage onto Wookiee, but I think we do remember later. So I go ahead and tap Air Superiority to give myself 1 shield just to mitigate some of that damage. So I need to get 3 cards out of his hand before he kills me this turn. I'm lucky he's not rolling that great, but he does have that 2 focus, which will get him to a lot of damage. I do get the special on the lone operative at a 2 melee for a cost, which means I could mill 2 out of his hand if I use 3PO and I heal 3, so that mitigates 3 damage. He'll double focus and get +3 on the ancient and do just a ton of damage. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. So with the shield, I would take 7, and then if you add the ping damage in, that would be 8 that I missed, or that he missed. But I think we do remember, so. So at this point, I really want to mill those last 3 cards out of his hand. I have in my hand, I think I have a secret mission, a field medic, so I don't think I can get killed this turn. So I really need to mill him this turn. And I also, damn, I can't see what that last card is. I don't know if I'm still holding on. It got a disarm. But I do have the 3PO. There is a 2 mil side on that lone operative, but it's, it's 1 in 6 chance, which is not a good idea to try to re-roll. I go and roll out 3PO because I want to see if he's going to mitigate something, but he doesn't. He goes and does the 8 damage, and so that puts me at 7 damage on the Wookiee Warrior. Those are the new 3, or the Q4 kit 3 tokens. Pretty cool. So I go ahead and remove C3PO to discard 2, paying 1. Get the Honor Guard and one of his blasters. And then he goes ahead and does the Ancient Lightsaber trick, putting it at the bottom of his deck. Can't get any heal, but he doesn't know I've got a secret mission. Secret mission, pick a color, discard the top card of an opponent's deck. If it's that color, get a resource. So that gets rid of his deck card, and I get a resource. That was pretty cool. First time I was able to do that. And he claims Docking Bay. And he doesn't, I think he forgets to put the Honor Guard back out on his claim. He's going to just see if I can discard that last card because there's nothing else he can really do. He can't discard it to reroll for the damage because he won't be able to kill me. I'm going to heal 2 with a Field Medic, putting me at 6. Super close game here. I could discard and go for the 2 mil and try to win right now. Or heal up 3 and hope for the other round. In this situation, you really don't want to go to another round because that's a bunch of damage that you still, again, have to mitigate. But I'm hoping for a hyperspace jump because I have plenty of money. So I go ahead and heal the 3 and reset. So now, again, I'm at 3, so I have to be able to get away with a bunch of damage. I go ahead and get the hyperspace jump. And, Hyperspace Jump is a really cool card. But you got to know when to play it. You really want to play it when they have no cards. But in this situation, actually, I play it. And so what that does is it ends the action phase and it switches the battlefield with the one that's not being used but was brought to the game. And it's supposed to go to your set-aside area too, the Hyperspace Jump. I don't have any cheats, so it doesn't matter. So it switches it to the Jedi War-Torn Streets, but because he claimed, he still controls the battlefield, and it doesn't use the claim ability. He still gets to control the battlefield in this situation, and, it goes to him and it resets the round. So it was a bad time. I shouldn't have played it. I should have waited till I could discard the card in his hand and then played it. But in this situation, he I think thought that so basically he decides he has to claim, because if I claim, I'll discard his last card, but then he will have a full round left to kill me, which would have been a better play. But instead, he claims, discards 1 card, and hopes that I can't discard his last card. So, in which case, I was able to with a 3PO and a 1 resource showing to discard his last card. So, sort of a little bit of definitely a misplay on his part, but of course, we don't know. He could have rolled blanks and not gotten enough damage to kill him. And if he hadn't discarded my flank, maybe I would have been able to flank some of that damage. So, I think and of course I could have rolled lone operative and gotten a special. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that game and to see a little bit of different decks being played. Let me know what you think of the mill deck, and we will see you next time on T3 Gaming.